birds were acting strange in my house. He said, oh, you're going to look after these birds. He said, you're going to find a little bird that's going to lead you to a big bird. And I thought, yeah, good on you, Willie. Go back to doing your hip-hop, buddy. You know, didn't make sense to me. And I thought about, you know, my whole journey with this. And it started when I was 3 years old, and my father sat me on his knee, and he'd recite this poem. It's from the 16th century. Once a jolly cassowary on the shores of Timbuktu ate a Christian missionary, hymn book, prayer book, Bible too. And I thought, no, cassowaries aren't in Timbuktu, Dad. But I found out through Ken Parker that they were. And they were in Asia and Japan. In fact, in Tokyo, there's a fire brigade. We saw it go past, and they call it the Firebird. Because the cassowary was the greatest tribute that you could give to a king, a queen, an emperor, an empress, a sultan or a shogun. They were the number one. They were like 5 tigers. And all around the world, these birds were traded, and they came here to get this bird, and it was regarded as the world's most impressive bird. For the last 500 years, if you go into the Malta Grand Palace, there is a tapestry from Louis XIV, and it's got cassowaries on it. So these birds have been around for a long time and recognised that way. And when I was in the Daintree many, many years ago, in the 80s and 90s as a tour guide, they were an essential part of my business. People would come back and back and back again to see a cassowary. And I did the cassowary thing for many years, and about 3 years ago, I suppose that's when it all really started. I went to town with a guy called Jerry Moore. He was a wonderful guy. He was the scenic railway train driver for Coranda Rail. And we went down the bottom of the hill, and he had to get some dog food, he said, and cat food. So he loaded up enough food on the back of his car to feed Tarong Bazoo. I said, mate, Jerry, what are you doing? And then we went off, and we went to Yaps, and secretly he gave all of this anonymously, and he dropped all of the food off at the Yaps. And we were driving away. I said, Jerry, did you just win lotto? And he said, no. I said, well, what are you doing this for? You can't be that generous. He said, who else is going to do it? 1 week later, Jerry passed away, and I was devastated, absolutely devastated. And my wife knew it, my daughter knew it. So to cheer me up, they would ring me up and tell me about Roy the rooster on the range and give me the Roy report. Now, Roy was this deranged, estranged bird whose favourite pastime was playing dodgem cards. And I just thought, someone's got to die here on the road. So someone's got to do something about it. So I ring up about 47 phone calls, 9 government departments. It was just maddening. And eventually, I get on to Phil Staley. And I ring Phil Staley on the ABC, and he says, oh, we can put an announcement out on ABC. I thought, oh, fantastic. So we start covering Roy the Rooster's movements. And it was like a bad episode of The Roadrunner. I'm Wild E. Coyote, and this bird, he was a cheeky rooster. You couldn't drug him, you couldn't net him, you couldn't catch him, you couldn't do anything. While I was looking for Roy, this big cassowary walks past me. I thought, oh, that's a news story. So we decided to start covering the cassowary. And Carl, we named him, and he had 3 little chicks. Wrote a song about him, that was all great. But one by one, these chicks got run over. And the last one got run over just before I had to go on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So not missing out on the opportunity, I took the little cassowary down and showed Eddie Maguire and said, look, we want to raise awareness. Well, Eddie said I was making it up. Eddie Maguire thought that the bird didn't exist, and he couldn't even pronounce it. Cassowary, and I was absolutely appalled. Went onto the streets of Melbourne, the same ignorance was there. So I came back, met with the then member for Barron River, Michael Trout, and said, what can we do about this? And we come up with this idea of a World Cassowary Day. Oh, how novel. And that's when it started. And World Cassowary Day has now grown to this fantastic event that you see today here. And because from little things, big things grow. And, we've lost a lot of good people along the way. We've had some great people inject themselves into this. Of course, I sent a cassowary to space, as you do, and became friends with First Dog on the Moon. Natural alliance there. And, of course, First Dog on the Moon has been done more for cassowary awareness in the last 6 months than most other organisations will be able to do in 100 years. So he can't be here today, but he is here in spirit, and he's got his wine bottles over there for you to have a look at as well. Finally, I'd like to give this sort of opportunity. That's my little story of how I got here. But it's a shout out to all the young people, particularly here today. 45 years ago, we did something that was almost impossible. Humans never thought we could do it. We landed on the moon. So great was that achievement To this day, many people believe it to be a hoax. We should never underestimate what we can do as custodians of the greatest intelligence in the known universe. If we can wreck it, we can fix it. There's new technologies coming on and we need to be optimistic. We just need to show we care, look after one bird, see if it can pull that one through. It's a keystone species. If there's hope for the cassowary, then there's hope for all the other creatures and all the wonderful ecosystems within our wet tropics. And I thank you all so much for attending and supporting World Cassowary Day.